Hey y'all, happy Sunday and welcome to this week's live Q&A session. This is the portion of the show where we allow YouTube to send out notifications that we're going live. If you're watching this live Q&A on replay, please scrub ahead until this graphic disappears and the actual show begins. If you're watching live and you have any comments or questions, please go ahead and put them in the live chat. But for now, grab a beverage, sit back, and relax while the countdown timer does its thing. Then we'll get started. Happy Sunday, everybody. Hope everybody is doing well. And I hope my headset is working. I didn't turn on headset monitoring, so I can't hear myself. Oh man, I just see something here real quick from Blaine. Missed the past couple of weeks due to a total knee replacement surgery. Looking forward to get back in the fold. Blaine, I haven't had one done, but my wife did, and all I can tell you is do exactly what the doctors say and do exactly what the physical therapists say. Um, it takes a little bit of getting used to. It takes quite a bit of physical therapy, but I can just say from an outsider looking in, it's great to see her without that knee pain that she had for so long. She injured hers in the army and through an automobile accident years ago, and she had been living with that pain for most of her life. So, but there's it's a lot of physical therapy and a lot of rehab. But get well soon, man. And you were missed. So, I also, first off, thank you everybody for telling me that the headset is working. I appreciate that. I figured by now I'd have 60 million messages. What? Can't hear you. No audio, no sound. So, thank you everybody for letting me know. And I want to start like I have been here the last few months by saying hello to my friend Steve at Harneo Media. If you are thinking about a website, establishing or increasing your web presence, you are building up a business and you want to get your products out there, there's no better way to do it than with a website. And Steve is the only guy that I will recommend. He is absolute dynamite. He's competitively priced, and he will take care of it. And the best part about it is not only is he a friend, but the best part about it is it's 100% personal service. When you deal with Harneo Media, you're dealing with Steve 100% of the time. You're not getting some nameless, faceless person from a call center that you'll never talk to again. You're talking with Steve. So, Steve, thank you for number one, sponsoring marklindsaycnc.com, my website, and number two, for always being there, man. Steve's always here. He's my only moderator riding shotgun on this trip, and I mean, what can I say? I can't have a better guy. Uh, Dan, I know a fella. There's a link to Harneo Media in every video on my channel, so it's real easy to find. Okay, since I went ahead and I titled this Q&A with major channel changes, I'm going to go ahead and get into that first, and then I've got some questions that you guys have been supplying me over here in the chat. Let's get into the channel changes first, then I'll get into that. I don't know. I know some of you do. You subscribe to a furniture maker and YouTuber by the name of Chris Salamone. And he runs a tidy little Keebler tree over there on the YouTube channel called Four Eyes Furniture. Not a name I would have chosen, but what do I know? I'm just some mope in a shed. Now, I've been following him for quite a while, and he does a very high quality video. His subscriber count and his views are testament to that fact, and just the things he makes are testament to that fact. Um, he put out a video a couple of weeks ago, kind of a clickbaity title, but it worked. I mean, it got me to click on it. And it's called Why YouTube Furniture Sucks. And it was not a criticism of YouTube or of anybody else's work, but a criticism of his own. And Chris and I started getting serious about putting out YouTube videos at about the same time. And we both fell into that old conventional wisdom that frequency and consistency were what was important. And in this video, he talks about how it just isn't. And he said a couple of things in this video that really drove it home to me. When I first started doing YouTube seriously in 2017, the conventional wisdom was a video a week and get it out there. Got to get the content up and stay consistent and meet that schedule all the time. Now, YouTube never said that. People on YouTube said that. And this whole thing was new to most folks. You had a couple of people that were established, not many, but a few, but it was new to most everybody. And so I fell into the hype the same as Chris did. And for the first probably 5 years I was doing this, I did that. I went a video a week. Now, at that time, I was doing the beginner series, the absolute beginner series. So it was relatively simple. I could sit down in front of the, at that time, VCarve Pro, turn on my screen capture software, and just go through designing a project or explaining the point that I wanted to explain. But I found that by being in that one video a week mode, not only did it become habit, I started to resent it. Then when I started building the shop shed here, I couldn't do it. I had to back down to a video every other week just so I had time to actually do the work. Well, Chris's video a couple of weeks ago drove it home for me one more time. In that by putting a self-imposed got to get a video out, got to get a video out, got to get a video out type of mode, whether you want to or not, and whether you realize it or not, you find yourself half stepping along the way. I find myself doing things I don't want to do and ignoring the things that I do want to do just to get that video out. That became the priority. So, to put it bluntly, I half-assed a few things just so I would have content for this week. This has come even more to a head here lately, and today being a prime example, so much is going on, I simply did not have time to even half-ass a video to get it out this Sunday. So the major channel change that I'm talking about is I'm scrapping that every other week edited video posting schedule. The live Q&A schedule will not change. I'm still going to do a live stream every Sunday. I'm still my members only live streams on Monday evenings. That's not going to change. We're still going to do that as well. Another change that I want to do is I want to split it up. Sometimes I'm begging for questions and sometimes I'm not. Now, I'm not going to do this on a regular schedule either, but I'm going to start having a lot more guests during these Sunday live Q&As. Now, I'm already talking with somebody behind the scenes who is not into CNC, but he is a furniture builder. And I want to get him on, number one, because he's great at what he does. Number two, he's got a lot of insight for people who are trying to start businesses and who are trying to get out there, things to look out for, custom designs, custom products, and what have you. He's got years of experience in that. So that's just one example of some of the things that I want to start doing on these live streams. I want to give you valuable content and help kind of open the door in various different directions. Not only do I want to show you that there are no secrets, that you can do this, it's not over your head, but I want to show you that the reason there are no secrets is because it has been done. And if I can get people who have been there, done that, got the T-shirt, maybe we can inspire you to do more of the same. So my edited video schedule, basically, I'm going to say there isn't going to be one. I will put out a video when I have one. I'll give you some examples. I get a lot of questions about photo V-carving. Now, when I bought V-Carve Pro in 2016, I also bought Photo V-Carve. I've loaded it on 3 separate computers, and I've never used it. I want to get into it and start working with it. I want to talk about vertical work holding. I want to talk about thread milling. I want to get into all of these various things. But if I'm constantly putting that aside just so I can hurry up and get a video out next Sunday, I'm never going to get there. So, with that in mind, my next video is going to be on tiling toolpaths. That's the number one thing people are asking me about. And I'm going to do a tiling toolpath video. When? I don't know. It may be 2 weeks, it may be 3, it may be 5. But it's going to be a better quality video shot on better quality equipment and hopefully better edited. I've spent a bit of my tax refund on cameras and audio, and we'll see what happens. So that's the big channel change, is I'm no longer going to be on a rigid every other week schedule as far as an edited video is concerned. And I'm doing that in the hopes of bringing the quality of the content I give you up. This has never been about me becoming a rich and famous YouTube celebrity. That's not even a part of it. But I think that what I've been doing over about the last 2 years has kind of stagnated, and I hate it. So I'm going to try to improve everything that I'm delivering to you guys. But again, these Sunday live streams will not change. I'll keep doing this because number one, it's just a lot of fun, you know. So Gary says he spent his refund on a new long mill. Well, so far I've got camera, mics, oh yeah, and a lean-to shed coming. So that's been on the back burner for a year and a half as well. So yeah, it got down to where I don't have time to build it myself, and there's no way I'd have it done in one day. So, you know, I've got a lean-to shed coming. Next week, I'm moving my tough shed and finishing up my gravel driveway, then a privacy fence. I mean, it's just all kinds of stuff. So, Steve Bobby says quality is always better than quantity. Detailed how-tos are the ticket. Um, I tend to agree with that. The balance that I have trouble with is how detailed. It would be very easy for me to do hour and a half long videos. Trust me, it would be real easy. But ain't nobody got time for that. So what I'm going to have to do is get out of absolute beginner mode to a point and start, stop with the finite detail on instructions in how to draw a rectangle. You know how to draw a rectangle. And if not, there's a link to my Absolute Beginner series in every one of these videos, to the playlist of all 50 videos. So, but I can't sit down and figure out toolpath tiling and get experience at it if I constantly have to shove it off to the side to get a video on putting text on a curve again for the fourth time, because something has changed. So anyway, that's the long and short of it. I won't belabor the point anymore. Um, Kind of along those lines, Gary Gibbons has some great questions. And he started it off by saying, I'd like to learn how to transfer drafted plans, i.e., furniture designs such as leg and rail profiles, into Vectric. Not sure the best way to approach. In particular, shapes that have multiple curves in profile, such as cabriole style legs, not 3D, but flat. I then asked him, are these digital files? Are you getting a DXF file from somewhere, or is this printed in a book? And he said they're not digital, but he could easily copy a bitmap on a full-size copier if necessary. That helps out a lot. What I did when I was learning how to draw in SketchUp, I got a book. My wife gave me a book for, I don't know if it was my birthday or Father's Day or something like that. And she knows I love Gustav Stickley furniture. And she got me a book titled Making Authentic Craftsman Furniture, Instructions and Plans for 62 Projects by Gustav Stickley. And if there's any interest in it, I'll put a link to it. I'll go find a link and I'll put a link to it down in the description of this live stream when I'm done here. And what I did to learn how to use SketchUp was I went through that book and I drew every project in that book into SketchUp. And I started off, really basic, really easy stuff. And that's how I taught myself how to use it, how to draw and connect lines and get into the 3D push pull and all that other stuff and create components and then copying components and all this other good stuff. Was I sat there with a scale and a ruler and figured out the scale and drew everything up to size, each individual piece, then assembled it. Now, I'm not suggesting you do that yourself. What I am suggesting is that you take that book or that plan that you're talking about, and if you can copy it up to a decent size, it doesn't have to be 2 foot by 3 foot or anything like that. But if you can copy it or scan it into your computer as an EPS file or a DXF file or a DWG file, or even as a PDF file, you can import those into Vectric. Now, if you have to scan it as a bitmap, a JPEG, or a PNG, PNG is probably a little bit better quality. Then, as Eitan Tal said up here earlier, uh, importing that bitmap and then bitmap tracing is the way you want to go. But I would suggest do it a couple of times because this is one of those cases of the more often you do it, the better at it you're going to get. And you're going to find cheats along the way to where, okay, I didn't have to do that. I could do it this way. You'll find yourself learning how to draw curves, and you may start off with arcs. You may start off with straight lines. But teaching yourself how to trace that bitmap, then get a closed vector, and then converting that to curves to smooth it out and reduce the number of points the better you'll become at transferring them in. And the whole, just one second here. Wow, excuse me. Using this software is just like anything else. There is no replacement for experience. And the only way to get that experience is to do it. And this is one of those perfect opportunities. If you have a favorite pattern or a favorite design that you would like to interpret, aka copy, then if you can scan it into your computer, great. But if you practice that way, practice in tracing, um, uh, use the bitmap trace functions and edit that, and then practice hand tracing on your own. You'll get better and better and better at it, and pretty soon you'll be able to sit there and go, okay, this is a 4-point Bezier curve, so I can just start here, 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 get my measurements right, length, width, and depth, and then start smoothing that curve and make it pleasing to your eye. I firmly believe that everybody who gets into this has a little bit of an artistic streak in them, in that you know what looks good to you and you know what looks bad to you. We all just need to kind of hone that in and fine tune it and make it easier for us to do things. Now, there are a lot of people out there that have a lot more artistic talent than I will ever have, and I know that. But still, you know what you like and you know what you don't like. It's real easy to identify. The how you do it is less important than developing that eye and developing those techniques. And it'll start to come to you. I mean, you may have that light bulb moment. Then again, it may be just kind of a gradual evolution. But personally, for this specific project that you're talking about, what I would do is I would go ahead and I would scan that in as a bitmap if you have to. If you can, as a DXF or a EPS or a PDF, and then take the vectors that creates and fine tune those, refine those a little bit. And I know that was a long way to go to get there, but I hope that answers your question. It's the perfect opportunity to develop your skills, is what I'm getting at. And that's all this is. It's just like learning to play an instrument or learning how to drive. You got to practice. You got to keep going. Okay, yeah, there you go. I've been practicing the bitmap trace functions in Vectric, and indeed, practice gets the best results. Yeah, I mean, it it does. And it'll continue to get better. You know more now than you did when you first started, and you have improved, whether you think so or not. Well, and this is something that kind of sticks with me in my learning to use software, in that a year is going to pass whether you practice the software or not. So you have to make a decision for yourself, is at the end of that year, do you want to be better with the software, or do you want to rely on other people to draw your designs for you? Because the year is going to pass whether you do anything or not. So might as well. I mean, I don't watch television, so it's easy for me. I'm in here playing around and doing whatever. Well, not in here, in the house. So, just get into it and go for it. And pretty soon you'll be whipping that stuff out like crazy, and save your files. That way, if you wait a minute, I think I drew that up somewhere, and go back and get it, and then wham, you can scale anything. So I hope that answers that. And I know that was a long way to go to get there, but yeah. All right. Let's see. Big Vix has a huge question that's worthy of about 15 different episodes. Okay. Any success stories of starting a CNC business for cabinets, closets, signs, etc., from entry level to full time? I've been researching the heck out of ways to get off the ground before I make the leap. One thing I'm going to say is do know that it is a very, very competitive field that you're talking about. Just do a Google search for cabinet shop. You said closet installations, but do them one at a time. Do a search for cabinet shops with your zip code or postal code and see how many are out there. Look for custom cabinet shops. Look for closet installations. There are a lot of cabinet shops out there. There are a lot of closet installation shops out there, and there are a lot of designers out there. So just know going in, it's very competitive. Okay. As far as success stories from ground up and then moving forward, I personally can't tell you because I'm not in the cabinet shop industry anymore, and I never ran my own cabinet shop. I worked for established custom and stock cabinet shops and mill shops in Georgia, Nevada, Hawaii. I mean, all over the place. But it's a highly competitive field. Now, Aton Tall is correct. It's actually a very lucrative business, and it is. Just know that there's a lot of competition because, I mean, just in this little town, I can think of 4 custom cabinet shops within a probably about a 7-mile radius of my house right here. I'm in a little town of 8,000 people. So, you know, then again, this is softwood timber country. So, what can I say to that? It is highly competitive, but you can you can be successful. You can make it a success. Um, Aton says, my advice is to start small and work your way up. Well, there is something to that, yes. Um, but there is also making, you've got to make the product. So if you have cabinets that you've built, let folks know about it. I mean, it's real easy for me to say it. Start a website and start putting your portfolio out there, a gallery of the things that you have built and the things that you have created. Um, Word of mouth is always the best advertising. And I have said this from the very beginning that when it comes to CNC work, if you build it, they will come. In that, when people start seeing what you can do with your machinery and with all the tools that you have, they'll come up with 100 projects that they didn't even know they wanted, and they need them yesterday. So, depending upon how hard you want to work, something to kind of, pay attention to there and be careful who you show it to. Let's see here. Machined in Wood says, I'm 3 years into doing CNC woodworking as my full time job, working out of my house. I make parts for a bunch of companies that do custom stuff for local normal people. Yeah, there is that as well. When I was looking for material to build a CNC router out of, I went to a cabinet shop and got some of the parts cut by them because it was cheaper for me to have them cut the parts to size than it was for me to go down and buy the material and then lug it around here and cut it with the track saw, then refine it with my table saw. It was just easy to tell them, hey, I need this, and this. Can you hook me up? $40 later, I was out the door and enjoying it. But in that discussion, he said, CNC router, will you be able to do 3D carvings? Will you be able to do custom doors and drawer fronts? Because we get people that want like grapevines um, up a door trim, or we get people that want a 3D relief carved in a drawer front or things like that. So it may not be it may not be building the cabinet itself. It may be doing some special custom work for other cabinet shops. So, okay, Big Vic says, I live in a small town locally, 2 cabinet shops here. Wanted to go to look at pricing, etc., to see if there's an edge I can find locally. Trying to find an edge is one thing. The problem with trying to find an edge is if you undercut in pricing, that may get you a little bit of business, but at the end of the day, it's going to come down to your quality, your reliability, and pricing is a consideration, but it's less important than quality and reliability. Because if you take a job at a good price and customers happy, you're happy. But the number of jobs you have taken have forced you to bump it down, and you give them a quote, I'll have it to you by the end of next week, and then also all of a sudden you can't get it to them for a month. That's bad PR. I mean, you've got to be able to deliver on time and on budget. So building up that reputation will do more for you than all the advertising in the world, because again, word of mouth is the best advertisement you're going to get. And so be competitive. I'm not saying don't be competitive, but don't try to compete with the big box stores, because you're going to lose. You will lose. There is no way you can make even a custom drawer front for less than Home Depot can import it in. Okay. So don't even try. You're not out there looking. I'm probably going to cheese some people off. You're not looking for Walmart shoppers. You're looking for the Neiman Marcus shoppers and the Saks Fifth Avenue shoppers. I know we all are, but they are out there. That's why there are 2 cabinet shops in your local area there, is because they can't get that stuff at Lowe's, Home Depot. If you're working with a customer that can't make up his mind, then, no money has changed hands. When we figure it out, we'll figure it out. I mean, it's easy for me to say, I know, because I'm not dealing with him. But, there are, I don't know if you're on Facebook or not, Big Vix, but there are a lot of groups on Facebook that specialize in this type of topic on business. When it comes to furniture and CNC work in general and in specific. I'll also refer you to uh, Garrett Frome over at IDC Woodcraft. Um, Garrett spends a lot of time coming at the CNC from the business point of view, and especially in getting a business off the ground and getting yourself established and getting yourself out there. There's a fine line between advertising and spamming, and Garrett knows that. He understands it. But you will need to create product, and it's You may have to give a few things away. You may have to invest a little bit to uh, to get that customer. Give you an example. A, I'm a recovering real estate agent. Okay. And one of my first clients was the owner of my favorite local guitar shop. And thank you, Steve. This is what I mean. This is the kind of this is what I mean about Steve just being awesome. There's a link to Garrett's YouTube channel. Um, I'm writing myself a note to put a link to his YouTube channel down in the description of this as soon as we're finished here. Um, yes, he is. He's a great resource for both business and instruction with Vectric and carving. Yes, he is. He is. Um, so where I was going with this was I spent so much time in that guitar shop and he knew what I did for a living, that when it came time for him to buy a house, I was the first person he talked to. So great. I sold him a house. But he gave away free bumper stickers. He said he loved to see his name on other people's car. So I took one of his bumper stickers, scanned it in, made him a little sign that was a copy of his bumper sticker, took it into the guitar shop and said, "There you go, Tom. Knock yourself out. Have fun." He says, "You did this?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "You do this?" I said, "Yeah." And suddenly he came up with ideas for projects that he needed. I need this. I need this. I need this. Can you do it? And that was all because I gave him a sign that was basically a copy of his bumper sticker that he still has behind the counter of the store. There are ways of getting out there. As a recovering real estate agent, I can also tell you that real estate agents buy closing gifts. They buy closing gifts for their customers. When an agent has closed on a house and he goes to give the key to the new owner of that house, there's usually a gift involved as well. If you know any real estate agents, talk to them. What kind of closing gifts would you like to give? What kind of price range are you looking at investing in your clients for that word of mouth advertising? If you don't know any real estate agents, go to a real estate brokerage and talk to a couple. Take some pieces in with you. Take some pieces and parts in with you and show them what you can do. If you need something custom, I can do that. If you want something just with your name engraved on the back of it, I can do that. And this could be anything from a bamboo cutting board to an end grain cutting board that you make yourself. It just depends on the client. It depends on the clientele. Sargon, you are the man, the myth, the legend. Thank you very much. I very, very much appreciate the super chat. And you, sir, are a prince among men. Thank you. Uh, Shed funds, yes. Well, you just ran some of the electrical. Thank you very much. So what I'm getting at is there are a lot of little side businesses you can get into. There are little side things that you can do to get your name out there and get your products out there. A gentleman I know back in Florida got a CNC router. The first thing he made was an address sign to go on the front of his house. He's out there hanging it up. His neighbor came over and said, "That's cool. Where'd you get that?" He says, "I made it." Well, for weeks, the whole cul-de-sac he lived on had an address sign that he made and sold them each. And this was the first week he owned his machine. Now, does that happen everywhere? No, it doesn't happen everywhere, but it is possible. You know, it just depends. Um, Aitan says, I bought 2 houses in my life, never got a gift. You had a bad real estate agent. Sorry. I was the one giving the gift later on. Yeah, I made coasters to my agent because he came up with a new logo that I thought was pretty. Um, but has that resulted in any business coming your way now that he can see what you can do? And you should have received a closing gift at the minimum. I would get a $100 gift card to Home Depot or Lowe's and say, first thing I would advise you to do is change the locks on the house. Here's something to help you get started doing that. So, it was worth it to me. Let's see here. Machined in wood, and this was he says he used to be Michael Keymont in these chats. I remember you, Michael. Nice to know. Nice to know that that's who you are. Rhode Island School of Designs has a furniture design program. I get work from the graduates who have more ideas than tools. Oh, beautiful. I bet that type of thing exists elsewhere too. I'm sure it does. I'm sure it does. Um, look around for a need and see if you can fill it. You can't fill everything. You can't do everything. And some things are just a CNC is the worst tool for the job. If you're putting up fences, you don't need a CNC. But if you're making yard furniture, maybe you do. If you're doing custom installations outdoors, maybe you do, or indoors for that matter. So it doesn't take a CNC router to do mission furniture or craftsman furniture. The only reason I drew all that stuff into the computer was just so I could get the uh, get the experience working with the software. But if you, for instance, focus on cabinets, just know that it's a competitive enterprise, and you're going to have to get your work out there. I'm not saying give away a kitchen. Saying that maybe take carve a few drawer fronts and take them to custom cabinet shops and see if they would be interested in working with you if they're not doing it on their own. A lot of shops are, but most shops aren't, especially smaller shops. And if they can buy something custom through you, all the better. But that also means you're going to have to work on your 3D carving and 3D designing skills. So, if you're just talking about making stock cabinets, that may be harder to excel in because when folks are looking for a $200 cabinet, they're going to go to Lowe's or Home Depot. And I doubt you can compete with that. Now, maybe in your area you can. Maybe your closest Home Depot is 400 miles away. But with two other shops, you're going to have to be better than them. And the only way to let people know is to make some product and get it out there at a decent price. So, let's see. LB Sharp says the hardest part is a one-off job to give them a price for it. I'm a broke Walmart customer. Yeah, me too. But you know, don't sell yourself short, but adjust your pricing accordingly. I have 3 prices. I have regular price, I have friends and family price, and I have I don't want to do it price. And I set my I don't want to do it price so high that if they meet it, you bet I'll do it. So, and yes, absolutely. Quoting is difficult until you've been doing it for a while. He's been burned a couple of times and definitely know your worth. You know, um, I was doing upholstery out of my garage down in Nevada, and I had one guy come in who wanted a headliner done in his truck. And it was the pan type headliner, the modern ones. It wasn't bows and glue and all that other good stuff. And I knew for a fact that the cheapest upholstery shop in town was $125 for a headliner. So I said I can do it for 100. And you'd have thought I just kicked his dog. $100? Oh, it's just some cloth and maybe a little bit of thread. And I said, well, yeah. But what do you do for a living? And he said, I'm a carpenter. Like I'm supposed to be impressed by that. Like I wasn't a carpenter myself. And I said, well, then why are houses so expensive when they're just a bunch of sticks and nails? Well, he puffed up and walked out. And as far as I know, he still needs a headliner. But the point to that whole story is you've got to know your worth. You can't pay the bills getting your money back. A lot of people say, well, you'll get your money back on that. Yeah, but I don't fill my belly by getting my money back. I just save myself a lot of headache by not doing it. So know your worth, know your product's worth, make your product worth that price, and go for that word of mouth advertising. Let's see. Michael Keymont was saying up here a little earlier. I'm non-existent on social media, just a website. I just started my YouTube channel and have no time to deal with it. Well, that's all. That's all a part of it. Um, that it's your priority. If you have a repeat clientele or new clientele coming to you, you may not have to go advertise a lot. You may not want to advertise a lot. You may want people to just leave you alone and shut off your phone. But the thing is, people have to know that you're out there. And if they don't know you're out there, you could be the best in the world. Let's see here. We had another okay, Tim Nudd says, got a new 6040 CNC, now trying to set up Mach 3 USB to my machine and set the VFD up. First time using Mach 3 or VFD drive, so struggling a bit, but I will get it figured out. Well, a few questions on that. You must have a motion controller that came with that CNC to convert to USB. USB signals usually need to go through a motion controller that Mach 3 will recognize. So the uh, the one that and I don't know anything about the machine that you have. Okay, I don't know anything about it at all. But the most common one I see people using is a UC100 motion controller, and what that does is convert the signal to the USB. I've never used it myself. I use an Ethernet smooth stepper. So I don't know who you got the 6040 from, but I would go look at their website and see what kind of tech support they have. There should be some support on that website on getting everything set up and running. Now, I've used Mach 3 and I've used Mach 4. Mach 3 is decent, but it's pretty cumbersome because there's a lot of stuff in there because it was made for everybody and everything. Mach 4, they I won't say they stripped it down because they didn't, but they put a lot of things right on the front interface in various tabs you can get to rather than have to go through 15 or 16 different submenus and sub tabs and go over here and do this, that, and the other. For instance, in Mach 3, you hit the tab key and you had window that popped open off to the side for jogging. Well, now on Mach 4, it's just a tab. You click the tab and it's right there on the main screen. You never leave the main screen. So your G code is still right there in front of you and the whole thing. So, um, um, nothing wrong with Windows and Mach 3. I used it for several years. So, let's see here. Do we have any other? Okay, I misunderstood. You're trying to use the controlling the spindle through Mach 3. Yes, it could. Yeah, it definitely will. I mean, Mach 3 will do it, and maybe your spindle is capable of doing it. And that's why I say getting into their tech support to find out is there any additional hardware you may need, um, solenoids and what have you, to actually turn it on and regulate the. Well, it's not solenoids anymore; it's all solid state. That just shows how old I am. But but yes, there may be some additional hardware you need. There may not. It just may need the right in and outputs coming from your controller into uh, uh, via the USB into the computer. So I'm sorry, but I have not done that. So I don't want to send you down the wrong path, but I would definitely get onto the website and see um, if they have any kind of support documentation to help you get that set up. And simply put, it may not be possible, but probably is. So let's see. Yep, there you go. A10's got you set up. So let's see here. We're almost, but not quite, at an hour. And let me go back up here and see if there are any other questions that I may have missed. Um, let's see here. A10 says locks are a false sense of security. If someone wants to get in, he'll get in. Yeah, this is especially true if you have glass in your house. But you know the point. Let's see. Jim Matthews says, I wonder what the most lucrative CNC business is. I look at a guy like Shane Peters and he is killing it. Yes, but he didn't start out killing it. He built it up. And maybe making beds is you know, your niche. Maybe making custom drawer fronts for a local cabinet shop. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's supplying parts for other people to do other things with. There are so many things. I said something about upholstery earlier. One of the early things, so we're looking at like 2007, 2008 maybe, that got me looking at CNC to begin with was, I don't know if you remember when the Carve Right came out, and then Sears offered one under the Craftsman name, and I don't remember what they called it, but it was uh, Carve-Right was the one that was sold by the Carve-Right company, and they're still out there. There's still a bunch of them out there. A local upholstery shop, um, he had a chair that had a 3D carving in the back, and one of them was broken. And a guy came in to the shop and looked at those chairs and said, "Wow, that's pretty cool. I do that kind of carving." Well, the upholsterer went, "What? What? You do that kind of carving?" He said, "Yeah." "How much would you charge to make?" And he brought out this piece it was had some pretty fleur de lis and things like that on it, fleur de lis on it. "How much to do that?" He said, "I can do that for $250." the upholster was on that, like, you know, right now. And they later started working together, and he just supplied that upholsterer with these parts that he needed. So, you know, it, it's I don't know if that's what it was called, Dwayne. The That's it right there. Bob Helterbridle's got it. The Craftsman CompuCarve. That's what it was. And it was about, what I want to say, it was about 13 to 15 inches wide, and unlimited, however long you can shove through the machine. It had a conveyor system that moved the material in what we would consider the Y direction, and it carved back and forth along the X. So it was one of those, and it just took off on him. So let's see. I'm working on a PO for one part from one customer right now that's 6750. Youch. 360 pieces altogether. Woohoo. I have another one on deck for 10K for 500 parts. You don't get these too often, though. Yeah. Um, uh, I'm trying to remember his name. I remember his first name is Tim, but I don't remember his last name. Anyway, doesn't matter. Or excuse me, Ted. I don't remember his last name. His third project on his CNC was a bunch of outdoor signage for a golf course. And that contract paid him $28,000 on about a $700 CNC router that he built in his garage. So, yeah. It most commonly PO means purchase order. Not always, but okay, there you go. Purchase order. Yeah. So the jobs are out there if you want them. Um, See if you can find uh, a need and see if you can fill it. It's about all I can say. You got to get your name out there. You got to get your product out there. And, you know, what can I say? It's easier said than done. It really is. It also depends on your location. It depends on, the local climate. Because, for instance, down in Nevada, with all the casinos constantly remodeling, and we're talking big casinos, the demand for millwork was high. So there were a lot of millwork shops. I worked in one of them in the finishing department, and did a lot of sanding, and a lot of sanding of sealer, and a lot of wiping down with glazes and things like that. I mean, it was 6 days a week, 10 hours a day, and that was the schedule. And yeah, you got paid for overtime, but it was a 60-hour work week. But they needed that because of the demand, and they were willing to pay for it. But you may not be in that kind of a situation where there's not a real high demand. So do know that as well. If you're like me, you live in a small town, there may not be a huge demand. So see if you can find a need and try to fill that need, basically. Let's see here. Again, I'll link Garrett's YouTube channel in the description of this video as soon as we're done with it live here. And let's see here. I had someone ask me to make them a signed, and it was so complicated. I bid it like 5 times the amount they could get it somewhere else. Yeah, that's my I don't want to do it price. That's my I don't want to do it price. And I get you. And this is not this is not good business practice. But you quickly learn that there are some clients you just don't want to work for regardless of the money. And that's a hard decision to make because you got to pay the bills, you got to feed the family. But there are some clients that I had the misfortune of working with when I was in the custom cabinet industry that I wish they'd have never walked in the door because they just weren't worth the money. But unfortunately, that's a hard lesson because that's a hard lesson we all have to learn because you never know where they are or when they're going to go through your doorway. Yeah, Bill Stauffer has got one here, and I've seen your tap handles. I've seen your work. He's made 1,000 beer tap handles at $18 each. You know, so but then again, those people know they can come to you with the new design and they can get it. So I mean, repeat customers. That's great. All right. I know we had some late people come in. The major announcement is I'm throwing my every other week edited video schedule right out the window, and I'm going to focus on quality instead of quantity. I want to make the content I make for you to be better than it has been. I want to stop half stepping and, to be blunt, stop half assing in order to meet some self imposed schedule, whether I can or not. I want to focus on doing better quality and giving you a better product, basically. The live stream will not change. The live stream schedule will not change. I'll be here every Sunday until YouTube kicks me off or they lay me down and throw dirt in my face. One or the other. Um, the members only side of the house will not change schedule wise either. That's still every Monday at 5:30 Pacific, 8:30 Eastern. Boy, you guys have got a treat coming this weekend. We're going to get into a few things, but we've got somebody who I want to show off a project, and oh man, this is over the top. In fact, I'm putting a couple of things off to the side so you can see this. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, or if you're interested in becoming a channel member, just click that join button down there by the subscribe button, and a panel will pop up and a video will play, tell you all about channel membership. We've got a great group that comes in for the members only live streams. Have a lot of fun. There's a lot of hooting and hollering back and forth with one another, and hopefully, we're putting out some good content. I've learned a ton from some of you guys, and hopefully, I was able to share some information with you guys too. Um, Next week will be another open live Q&A. As I said, my next video will be tiling toolpaths, but I don't know when that's going to come out. It may be 2 weeks, it may be 3, it may be 5. I don't know. But you'll know as soon as I do. I got to clear some of that off of the ding dong CNC first. So, having said all of that, thank you very much to Sargon for the super chat. Thank you very much for joining me today. Thank you very much for the absolutely fantastic questions. And thank you for all the views, for the likes, the subscriptions, and thank you for spending some of your Sunday with me. Yes, that is everything I wanted to say. I think I'll get these links to the Gustav Stickley book and to Garrett Frome's channel, IDC Woodcraft, down in the description as soon as we're done here. So, all you channel members, I'll see you tomorrow evening. Everybody else, I'll see you next Sunday. Bring your questions. Hopefully, I got answers. Until then, y'all take care. That almost sounded like I knew what I was doing. Have a good Sunday, y'all, and thank you very much.